Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of our upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Jiten Chhabra on the line, and he's COO and Chief Medical Officer over at CareValidate. Jiten, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so excited about today's topic. I mean, it's a hot topic for obvious reasons, so contact tracing for businesses. But before we get into that, let's go a little bit further into what you're doing over at CareValidate. Tell us a little bit more about the practice, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So CareValidate is a digital health company that provides contact tracing solutions for businesses to help America open back up after this pandemic.
So that's a great transition. I want to just to start out with, I think a good primer, because some of our listeners may have heard of it but don't know exactly what it is. Can you give us a primer on what contact tracing is?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't sweat it if you've heard of it, because it's in the news all the time, but you don't exactly understand what it means because, in our line of business, we encounter that a lot. And, contact tracing is essentially the process of letting people who could have been exposed to a contagious agent like COVID-19 and coronavirus, just letting them know that they potentially were exposed, and then monitoring them to make sure that they don't spread the disease unknowingly to other people.
And so, there's a lot of, right now, I guess you would say in the United States, like we're looking at maybe what some other countries have done with contact tracing so far. Could you comment on that and where we're at overall in this, let's just say, emerging market?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've probably heard about different countries taking on contact tracing as a public health initiative. And there is a distinction between that type of contact tracing and the kind of contact tracing that CareValidate provides, which is contact tracing for businesses to help them open up and stay open. And the big difference really is that from a public health standpoint, the history of contact tracing kind of goes back all the way to smallpox, and even before that, where somebody would go door to door asking people whether they have a certain kind of symptom. Like, for example, for smallpox, the symptoms are a rash and a particular kind of rash on the skin, and they would go door to door and ask them, and if they say they do have those symptoms, then they would ask them, where have you been and who have you met in the last 24 to 48 hours, or however far back they want to go. And then, really these healthcare heroes would go from that person's location on foot to other people and tell them that they could have potentially been exposed because this person just developed some symptoms that could be smallpox, and just give them basically a heads up and a warning so that they don't cause a spread of the disease to their family members and to their friends. So that's the history, and that sort of manual on-foot contact tracing, was extremely effective in eradicating smallpox. Now, as you know, we've come a long way since people going on foot to message people and notify people. So what you're hearing in the news today is public health initiatives across various countries where governments and public health authorities are developing apps and email systems and basically notification systems where you don't have to go on foot and you can let people know with other modern electronic means of communication.
Man, that's a great explanation. I had no idea about the smallpox thing. Education. I love doing this podcast. Every single day I learn something new. That's amazing. I had no idea. So, Jiten, that being said, where are we at, right now? So this is being recorded, 2020, May 2020 for the listeners, just in case somebody's listening to this in a year or two. I'm just curious, where are we at right now with this technology and adoption in the U.S. up to this point?
Yeah, it's actually quite a pivotal week to be talking about contact tracing because, as you may have heard, Apple and Google in a almost unprecedented partnership took it upon themselves to create an API or essentially something that you can use to make an app, and they worked together to launch it so that governments and public authorities can build their contact tracing solutions on top of that. And that literally just happened a couple of days ago from today. And in terms of sort of the adoption of contact tracing, I would say we are probably 5% of the way internationally. There is a lot to go in terms of educating people around what it is and specifically addressing privacy concerns around contact tracing. But make no mistake, Adam, this has been proven to outsmart smallpox. And with the current information technology that's available to us in 2020, if we are not able to get our act together to use this as an effective tool against the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, then that would be a shame.
Yeah, no, I see it, and I think, and this will be beyond the scope of this show, but I think a lot of it, there's political issues and other things, and a lot of it has to do with education, and I'm not even claiming that I'm completely educated on this. I just know as a technology, it's something to think about, and what you said is completely right. So the Google Apple thing, I'm like, wow, it's pretty amazing to see what may come from that, which again, we're in the middle of it all, so I'm not saying an opinion either way because I don't know. I'm still learning. You just taught me about the smallpox history, so there you go. So that being said, Jiten, so let's get a little bit further into CareValidate. So there's a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, executives listening. How does your technology work, and how can business owners, if they care to use it, how do they apply it? Like, how does this affect them?
Yeah, great question, Adam. And the reason why I love this question is because it has a really simple answer. Our solution for contact tracing is based on ID badges that are completely anonymous. And the reason why a business owner should be interested in our solution is that if you're trying to answer, one of these three questions, you should be interested in learning more about CareValidate. The first question is it ready for me to, am I ready, or is it safe enough for me to welcome my employees back to work, knowing that I have a responsibility towards them and their families around their health, right? So that's the first question. Like, am I even ready to open back up based on the health status of my employees? The next question, which I think is sort of the heart of contact tracing, is what do I do as a business owner where I open back up and then one of my employees falls sick or one of my employees tells me that they have COVID-19? What do I do? Like, do I of course, ask that person to stay at home and, take quarantine measures. But what about the rest of my business? Do I continue to operate? Do I notify my clients? Do I have to tell my customers? Am I going to get in trouble with workers' compensation, with professional liability around notification and whom to notify and how to notify? And then finally, the third question, for large businesses that have huge campuses is that everybody wants those businesses to take the janitorial measures to do deep cleaning and to make sure that they're disinfecting the places so that they're creating an environment that's safe to work in. So the third question really is, based on me finding out that somebody was infected either in my workforce or as one of my customers who came into my store or my office, where do I need to clean? Like, what area is most exposed based on this information? So if you're a business owner that's trying to answer, whether it's safe to open, what to do when somebody calls in sick in times of COVID-19, and where do I need to put my cleaning resources, you should go to our website and check out CareValidate.
What are the right? I want to go a little bit further into the ID badge thing, because that I know you talk about it all day, but somebody's listening to that in their car and they don't maybe get it. So to walk us through a case scenario, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you get an email from your manager saying, come on back to work. And then you walk in the door the first time after COVID-19, and there is a box of ID badges that's sitting there with some random numbers on them. And there's a poster that says, hey, if you want to participate in a program where if anybody ever calls in sick with COVID-19, we'll notify you. Please take one of these badges and either put it in your pocket or there's a lanyard and you can just wear it around your neck, just like your ID badge at work. And this will enable you to do that in a completely anonymous fashion. So the employer doesn't know who took which badge number. The employer doesn't know who called, doesn't know which individual called in sick, and the employer does not know which individuals got notified. So it's completely anonymous, 100%, encrypted information around contact tracing, and to be able to be notified if you were exposed to somebody at work. Does that make sense?
That does. So what is next question? What are the size of, final question, I should say, two-part question. So what are the size of companies that are usually a good fit for CareValidate, number one, and number two, what's the best way for them to follow up? What's the website and the other contact info?
Yeah, so, we are definitely a group of people who want to help every size of business, open up safely and keep their employees safe and healthy. So if you go to our website, which is CareValidate.com, you'll find there are packages for businesses that have less than 10 employees, and there are packages for businesses that have over 10,000 employees. We have, even in the last 6 weeks, talked to businesses every size and have had an opportunity to educate them and help them educate their employees around contact tracing. And we would love a chance to talk to business any size and do the same for them.
Fantastic. Well, Jiten, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work that you're doing over at CareValidate. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things you're working on. And Jiten, thanks again for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Adam.